Shalom, thank you for joining us this afternoon for our Far Above Rubies Bible study. We give all praise to the Most High, Ahaya, Yeshaya, and while we walk this Holy Spirit, we're going to get started with our credo, read from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Shema Yasharala Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel. The Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharala Ahaya. Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akash, Hero Israel. The Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharala Ahaya. Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akash, Hero Israel. The Lord our power is one power. We give our praise to the Most High for this lesson. This afternoon's lesson is going to be on warrior women and the strength of them. And we're going to see how certain women through history, how they were portrayed as a warrior woman. And then we're going to apply it to us today and the women in the Bible. So, first question, who comes to mind when you talk about a strong woman or a warrior? I know a lot of people would say Wonder Woman, or people say...
I never looked at Wonder Woman as being powerful because she had that little rope thingy. You know what I mean? So she really, I don't even know if I've seen her fight. Like, you mean, maybe the new Wonder Woman movie they have now, but like the cartoon or the, what was her name? Linda, whatever her name
Diana?
Was. Yeah, Diana.
And it's not just women that are fighters. What about the influential women? A lot of people say something like Rosa Parks or, people that's like that.
And I thought about Amelia Earhart.
That's another one, Amelia Earhart. So we're going to get a couple women throughout history that is not heard of. And we're not just going to focus on the 12 tribes, because not all viewers are women of the 12 tribes. The first one, she is described as the Vietnamese Joan of Arc. Now, she raised a following of 1,000 people that followed her into battle. Her brother tried to discourage her from starting a revolt, but when he saw how fearsome she was in battle, he then actually joined his sister. This is a quote from her. "I only want to ride the wind and walk the waves, slay the big whales of the eastern sea, clean up frontiers, and save the people from drowning. Why should I imitate others, bow my head, stoop over, and be a slave?" Her brother joins her army from there. With that being said, you can see the type of character she has.
One moment.
She's not weak. She didn't say she was going to bow down, or how the world tries to get women to be today, trying to be like the women in Hollywood. She basically said she was going to be herself. She's not going to imitate someone. And she didn't pull any type of fake strength from anyone. On the field, she carried 2 swords, and she wore a bright yellow robe, and she rode a war elephant. Yes, because elephants were used in war. So she didn't try and blend in. She didn't wear any browns or greens. She wore a bright yellow robe. Now, stories suggest that her voice sounded loud as a temple bell, and she was 9 feet tall. And then it added it in here that her breasts were 3 feet long. So she was a big woman. Now, these tales speak of incredible presence in young women who inspired by people of the past. Another quote from her: "I like to ride storms, kill sharks in open seas, drive out the aggressors, reconquer the country, undo ties of serfdom, and never bend my back to be the concubine of whatever man." So she's saying that she's gonna have a dignity about her. She's not gonna be a weak woman. And that was a Vietnamese warrior.
Wow.
Another one. This is a Ashanti warrior. And again, these are all women. Now, a district in the Ashanti Empire, right now it's located in Ghana. After she was appointed ruler over the Ashanti forces, she led a campaign known as the War of the Golden Stool, and this was against the British colony in the 1900s. This was the final war in a series of uprisings against the British, revolving around the symbolic Golden Stool, or that's known as the Ashanti throne. So basically, the British are trying to take over the Ashanti. She managed to wage war with great skillfulness and helped the Ashanti maintain their independence. Though technically a British colony, the empire ruled themselves with little reference to Britain, thanks to her. She remains the only woman who has led the Ashanti forces. You hear a lot with the tribes that it's men that are leading and that are always, forward. At this point, it was her for this time. So again, she didn't bow down and let the British take over her tribe. She didn't let the outside influence what they were doing in their culture. And then the third one, she's nicknamed Brave Woman. She was a warrior. She was known as a Cheyenne warrior, and it's called the Buffalo Calf Road Woman. And this was in the 19th century. She strategically fought and rallied others at the Battle of Rosebud and the Battle of Little Bighorn. While little is known about her life, she is considered one of the most heroic fighters in American history. So, all these women have the same thing in common. They're not weak, they have skills. They're not letting outside influences change them. Like the first woman said that she wasn't going to imitate anyone. The warrior over the Ashanti tribe, she wasn't going to let the British influence their tribes and their traditions. We're going to get Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. And that reads, I can do all things through Yeshua which strengthen me. So as a woman, as being a believer, we should have this verse implanted in our hearts because things that are impossible in the flesh becomes more possible through Yeshua. And we know that it's because he's our strength. And you have to realize that, a lot of women call themselves bad bees and,
False bees.
yeah.
That's crazy.
We have to realize that it's not our strength, it's Yeshua's strength. A lot of women are so focused on being, your own independent woman, being a CEO of a company, having education and money. You don't need a man to rely on when you clearly need Yeshua. And if you think that way, you don't have him. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy power, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. When these warrior women, were in battle, defending their tribe or their city or country, whatever one it was, they didn't have fear and they weren't afraid. As that apply to us today as women, whether we go to school or work, whether you're at home, and you see everything that's going around or that's going on, especially with the whole pandemic and the vaccines, and now they're trying to get it on children, you can't be afraid. It says that he won't forsake us. So even if they try and mandate it, you can't fear. You have to stand your ground if that's what you choose to do. We have to realize that it wasn't, like Shepard said yesterday, it wasn't that the people were afraid of the Israelites. They're afraid of the God of the Israelites. We have to realize that it's not our power that has gotten us where we are, that it is the power of Yeshua. And as long as we is with him, he will continue to help us and to guide us. And he won't forsake us. We're going to get Isaiah chapter 41, and we're going to read verse 10. And we're just getting some scriptures in the Bible about strength and what the Bible says about strength. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. So all throughout scripture, we're being told not to fear, that he will uphold us, not to be dismayed. He's saying that he will help us, he will strengthen us, he'll protect us. We just have to accept the help, listen to what he's saying. You have to serve Yeshua. And a lot of women don't want to do that. They're so stuck in the world.
You know what I'm seeing so much of is, and I'm for sure it's been out there, but now more than ever is that Jezebel spirit. It doesn't matter how many muscles, like, bodybuilders, or how manly a man look or think he operates, that Jezebel spirit comes in and it dominates every time. Because even if you call yourself a man in the Most High, but you don't have discernment, that Jezebel spirit wears so many hats and is so cunning and trickery that it will outsmart, the smartest man that's why it takes a man of the Most High, who Yeshua is his head, because Yeshua has to lead that man and guide that man on how to deal with that Jezebel spirit. Because if a man feels like he has wisdom, he has discernment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he started trying to deal with that Jezebel spirit on his own. He linked to his own understanding. He's going to get taken. He's going to get captured. So a man that's operating, Yeshua is his head, and Yeshua instructs him what to do. That's the only way that man is going to have victory over that Jezebel spirit. That Jezebel spirit is running the world. And we know it because, listen at that song. I don't know it because I don't listen to that music. But you know how you hear songs and stuff in the store? Beyonce made a song, Girls Rule the World, or something like that. That's a Jezebel spirit. Jezebel spirit comes in and thinks she's the CEO of a company. You know what I mean? She takes over. She dominates.
She could be a janitor.
She can come in as a janitor, but as she and we saw it. Amelia can testify to that. You can have someone that's a receptionist, but she's running the shipping department. She's running the receiving department, but she has been hired on as a
Clerk.
A clerk, but she's has influenced all the managers. She has even influenced the owner of the company. Mm-hmm. She's running. She don't need that title of CEO because from her clerk desk, she's running everything. But she don't run the men of the Most High.
And I've been seeing videos where, I don't know if it's a challenge or what, but it has how their husbands or boyfriends are, they're soft, they're non-confrontational, but then a wife comes around with a bat or with a weapon saying, the husband got to pull her back or whatever. It's just teaching young girls or whoever, women, to be Jezebels, to overstep authority.
And that's why some of those videos we see on YouTube where the daughter's like a year or 2 years old and she's in an argument with the her father.
Mm-hmm.
That's not funny because the daughter should not be confrontational. She should not be arguing or getting into, especially a 1 year old, with her father. So it's being taught. That's what's happening. And then let's talk about this as well. It's being even taught in ministry and these Israelites. Because guess what? When you have an elderly woman that's trying to teach a young married woman on how through the scriptures she should operate, you'll never hear from that woman again. She don't want to talk to you. She won't answer your phone calls, your texts, or anything because she thinks you're crazy. Because she still want to have some type of dominant or rule over her husband's house. She don't want to just wear her shoes. She still want to influence her husband's shoes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how Yeshua is set up. That's not how it's supposed to be.
And when we're talking about warrior women, how these women had strength and how they were bold, it's not in a negative way. Don't go to the store and start trying to swing on people and have dominance on them or over them. It's in a respectful way. It's in Yeshaya's way. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So this is when we say Yeshua won't give us more than what you can bear. Now you may think that you're not going to be able to make it through. You may be on the floor swinging and kicking. You may even get beat up a couple times. But we have to know that when you're going through something, as maybe a loss of a loved one, or you're being taken through the same trials over and over, you're getting tired. Yeshua is going to always be there with us,
Yes.
no matter what.
So you're not depending on your own strength.
Yes.
Like we see these movies where you see these little women beating up these big, strong men. But let's talk about in Yeshua. Joelle, what did she do?
We're going to talk about her later.
Okay. But the point what I'm making is that
Jail.
The point is that these was not warrior women where they went out and fought all these big battles. According to whoever the subject was at that time that they needed to be taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a king and you have a man come to a king and he knows that somebody's out to kill him, he's going to arm himself. He's going to defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
But if Yeshua knew that this king had a weakness for women or had not good thoughts about a woman is weak, she's this and that, so who's going to take him out? Yeshua can use a woman to take him out. So it's still not the way the women of the world operate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have women going head on with a man, think she can fight a man and she get knocked out. The women in Yeshua, the daughters of Zion and Yeshua was used for different things, right? But they were not used the way the world portrayed a strength of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was still Yeshua in control. You know, he was controlling everything to get the job done.
And it's not just this big show.
Right.
Now, and this is what psychologists say. Women warriors possess a determined spirit and can do attitude that drives their actions towards their goals. When faced with limitations, disappointment, or opposition, a warrior woman only gets more determined to make what she envisions happen. A warrior woman knows her words are powerful and that her opinions count. She chooses her words wisely, explains her position well, and considers the feelings of others when she speaks her mind. She hates lies, deception, and corruption, and does more than vent and complain about it to her friends. Her anger, this is what they're saying, her anger is a friend. She has learned to trust the nudge out of her complacency so that she can fight to make a difference in the world. She will dig up the truth about a situation, and when she does, she is not afraid to expose it. A woman who stands on the mountains of spiritual integrity understands her spiritual mission calls to her duty. So, what is wrong with that? It sounds good, right? She has a can do attitude. She doesn't like lies or anything. But if we really listen to what they're saying, she chooses her words wisely. She explains her position. Everything is based on her.
Yeah.
She's doing it. It says her anger is her friend. We know with anger brings on a whole bunch of other spirits.
Wrath, murder, all that. Everything that is not the Most
Yeshaya.
High, yeah.
It also brings on different sicknesses.
Yeah.
Though she may be recognized by the world for her achievements in her day, she is satisfied knowing she did her best. She'll have that self-satisfaction that she did her best. So she did it by herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important when you are trying to be a strong woman, don't look at women in history that don't look to women in history or things like that, worldly women, because they feel like they're doing it themselves. We're going to talk about Deborah. She was a judge, a prophet, and a prophet. We're going to be in Judges chapter 4 for the remaining of the lesson. Judges chapter 4. Now, Deborah, she's one of the most influential women in the Old Testament and maybe in the Bible overall. Now, she was the only female judge, but she was not the only female to win in a military victory. In the Old Testament, judges were established by Moses as the Hebrew ruler to help him govern the people and decide disputes and different matters among the Israelites. Deborah became a warrior after she delivered the word of the a word from Yeshua to the Israelite commander Barak that he was to attack the Canaanite general Sisera on Mount Tabor. So we're going to get Judges chapter 4 and we're going to read verse 2. And then we're going to skip down to verse 8 and 9. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. So Yeshua declared that he would deliver Sisera into their hands. Now Barak refused to go into battle without Deborah. So we're going to get verses 8 and 9.
Okay, you said that was Judges.
Judges chapter 4, and we just read verse 2. Yes, now we're jumping down to verse 8 and 9. Judges chapter 4, verse 8. And Barak said unto her, If thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. Verse 9. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. For the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. So Deborah consented to go with him, after informing him that it would be a woman to take down Sisera.
The Lord.
And that was from Yeshua. Now Deborah spoke for Yeshua when she directed him into battle because she was also a prophetess. So she wasn't just, making it up or anything. Now Barak would not get to he would not get the credit for defeating General Sisera. Instead, it would be a woman. And in this day, it wasn't something that was commonly heard of because all the generals and the chiefs, they were men.
And like we just said, we don't know why, unless it tells us why Yeshua chose a woman to take down, what's his name?
Sisera, General Sisera.
He could have had bad feelings about women.
Mm-hmm.
They're weak or they're stupid and we don't know exactly what was going on in his heart that Yeshua allowed a woman to take this man down.
Because as we're going to read later on, he lets his guard down. So you can see the type of mindset he could have possibly had about women. So Deborah proved herself a courageous warrior by abiding by 3 lessons all warriors should follow: being obedient, being courageous, and to be steadfast, to stand. And she obeyed what Yeshua told her. And that's the main thing. You can't say you're a strong woman and you have this type of warrior strength trying to take credit for yourself when you know it's only by the grace of Yeshua that you are where you're at. She had the courage to speak the word to Barak, and she was steadfast in seeing it through to victory. So she didn't halfway do anything. She went with Barak. But like we said, Deborah was not the woman who would defeat General Sisera. We're going to talk about Jael. And we're going to skip down to verse 16. We're going to read verses 16 through 21. So Jael is the woman Deborah was talking about in her declaration to Barak in the prophecy. We don't hear about Jael that much in the Bible, but she's the woman who kills him, who kills General Sisera, to be specific. And we're going to read the story of how she does it. Jael was the wife of Heber the Kenite. Now, Heber, for some unknown reason, he moves his family to a land near Jabin, the king of Hazar. Jabin was General Sisera's boss, as you can say it. And there was peace between Heber and Jabin. Now, as his army was losing to Barak, Sisera flees on foot and he comes across Jael in her tent. And Jael invites him in and enters the tent thinking it was safe. Now, there is no account of Jael and Deborah talking, saying, when, General Sisera comes, kill him.
Yeah.
They didn't plot this together or anything like that. So Sisera was showered Sisera was showered with kindness by Jael, and he eventually drifts off to sleep. And we're going to read what happens. Judges chapter 4. We're going to start at verse 16. But Barak pursued after the chariots, and after the hosts unto Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the hosts of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Verse 17. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. Verse 19. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink, and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? Then thou shalt say, No. This goes back to last week when we were talking about if you're hiding someone, an innocent person, and someone comes looking for them to harm them, to kill them, do you say no or yes? At this point, it would have been okay for her to say no, because he's not an innocent man. It was a prophecy already given that he would die. Verse 21.
I think you said that backwards. It would be okay for her to say yes. That there's somebody in the house.
Yes, he's here.
Yes. Verse 21. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it to the ground. For he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. So first of all, a tent peg. They are very long and they are very thick. They're not small or skinny. It says that she smote the nail into his temples, plural. So it went through in one side, out the other, into the ground.
Pegs are, because we have some for our tent, and they are very long. Yeah.
Well, and they're very sturdy.
Yeah. It said he was fastened to the ground.
Yeah, she fastened him to the ground. So there's not now. These women, they weren't out into battle slaying thousands of men, but the role that they did play was the small role they played was large. So there is no doubt that she acted as a warrior, fulfilling Deborah's prophecy quickly and completely.
But how did she even know that was a prophecy? How did she know that she was to kill this man?
It doesn't even say that she knew. It could have been a spirit put in her by Yeshaya that this man needed to die.
Because at some point, even though they hadn't talked, do you think that her and Deborah was on one accord with Yeshaya?
Could be.
But she probably heard all the things that the king had done.
But you still just don't go around killing a king like that. There's consequences.
Well, if he was fleeing, I mean, if you put two and two together.
But how did she know?
They said he was running.
The point I'm making is that when you are on one accord with Yeshaya, it doesn't matter if you're in a different neighborhood, different state from some other. You're still one spirit, one mind. You know what I mean?
And it was set up from the beginning because Heber, he moves his family to the land near the Jabin, king of Hazor.
And it don't say why he did that.
No. So it was already set up from the beginning.
Yeshaya, Yeshaya for her to do that. It was not that her and Deborah talked and they came up, and if he comes this way, this is what you do. Yeshaya was still in control. The author and the finisher.
So that was the end of the lesson. Do we have any questions or comments on the chat? Yeah, it's black here. We can't see anything.
Shamaria said, yes, it was something Yeshaya knew about him because he didn't use Jael's husband. Yep. Because how is it that she was the only one at home that day? In the tent. You know what I mean?
And if there was another male there, it probably would have been a fight.
Or he wouldn't have went in. Yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah. Do you have the women?
Yes, we do. It's because the chat is black, so we can't see anything.
Why are you chat black?
So we're going to get our woman of the Bible. Oh, let me get this one. It's going to be Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 14. Here. Let me get Nehemiah.
What is that? No idea.
Mm-hmm.
Nehemiah chapter 6,
Yes.
verse 14.
So Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 14. My power, think thou upon Tobiah and Sanballat according to these their works, and on the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets that will put me in fear. So this is Noadiah, a prophetess.
So Noadiah is a prophetess during the time of Nehemiah, when he leads the people in rebuilding the wall in Jerusalem. There is opposition to Nehemiah and his mission from some of the local people. They merely seem to want to stir up trouble. His chief opponents are Tobiah and Sanballat. They also enlist the help of a few others, including Geshem and Shemaiah. Tobiah and Sanballat pay Shemaiah and give Nehemiah bad advice. And Nehemiah discerns Shemaiah's duplicity, duplicity, accusing Shemaiah of prophesying against him. Immediately after this, Nehemiah gets his
What page?
Where is
Somebody
that?
want to know what page?
111.
Detractors
Mm-hmm.
over to the Most High for punishment. He lists Tobiah and Sanballat by name, but not Geshem and Shemaiah. He does, however, mention another person, the prophetess Noadiah. He says she and the rest of the prophets tried to intimidate him. While several chapters in the Bible detail the efforts of Tobiah and Sanballat to derail Nehemiah's mission, this is the first we hear about Noadiah, her efforts to intimidate, and her misguided influence over the other prophets. We don't know the details of what she did or why Nehemiah was so vexed with her, but we do know that after Tobiah and Sanballat, Nehemiah views her as his third biggest nemesis, as a prophetess. No, Noadiah, Noadiah could have used her status for good or for bad to support the Most High's purpose or oppose him. She chose wrong. And our ending thought is, may we always use our position, skills, and abilities to support the Most High's purpose and not oppose him.
And this goes with what we were just teaching about with the whole Jezebel women. Women that feel like they're in power will use that status to try and get what they want or manipulate or control people. They will go as far as to use their bodies to do that as well.
Seduction.
So that's why it's important to be in Yeshaya and to have a Yeshaya like mindset. Because a woman could be a very dangerous thing
Dangerous.
to deal with, an evil woman. Because she will take you down. And it's not just for, women with, women relationships like friends or, people but it's also with a man as well. A woman could easily, a evil woman can easily take down anyone.
Yeah, because who's her father?
The devil.
Yeah. And he's instructing his child, his daughter. Exactly.
With that being said, we are going to end. Thank you for joining us. If you have found, join us at 2 p.m. for our main Shabbat lesson. If you have liked the teaching and found it educational, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell to get notified when we go live. Kwame Asharala.
Kwame Asherah.